All right, everyone, it is here. I've been so excited for this. I have no idea how well it's going to show in the video of how much I've been anticipating this vehicle right here. This is, and it's I believe a mouthful if I want to say this correctly, the HasLab G.I. Joe Classified Series H.I.S. tank. Now, this is my first HasLab purchase, and we'll talk about HasLab real briefly in this video, just in case you're not familiar with it. But it's my first purchase, and I'm just learning now that typically, according to some of my friends, that we are always in the Northeast one of the last people to get HasLab items. It appears that most of them ship out from California on the West Coast. So I've been looking all week at everybody unboxing their H.I.S. tanks, and I've been super excited to get my hands on mine. Definitely kind of wish I ordered more than one, but we'll talk about, you know, money and HasLab, a little bit of that, just in brief detail as well in this video. But mostly this video is going to be about the tank itself. Let's talk about the artwork so we can dive right into the tank itself. So the color combo, the color theme of the box as well as the tank is black and red. Now, I don't know about you, but that's like one of my most favorite combo. Matter of fact, most of my cars are black with the red gut interior. So this color combo to me it's perfect. I wouldn't change it any other way. This is it to me, color combo wise. So sliding it over real quick. First of all, this thing's got some good weight to it. We have the H.I.S. tank as well as the H.I.S. driver. We can see Cobra Commander. We could see Baroness. We could see, I can't make him out from this angle. This is awkward. But the other gentleman, I'll flash his name up. I'm going to turn it over to this side. So on this side, we have the one special edition figure, which we'll briefly talk about once we get to it. That was the figure we picked. We got to choose the color of. It was drawn by some famous guy. Real quick, I am not the biggest G.I. Joe nerd. Not that I don't want to be, I do. But it is a franchise that I grew up in the 90s with. So I'm an 80s, born in the 80s, 90s child. So G.I. Joe was the 90s for me, where a lot of some of the older audience than me grew up with the 80s G.I. Joe. I grew up the 90s. So, but with that being said, if you ask me what's the most iconic G.I. Joe vehicle, especially prior to me really getting bit by this bug, it was instantly the H.I.S. tank, which is how I got bit by this bug, because when this came up, my buddy was explaining to me what HasLabs were, and when this came up, I literally backed it day one. So we'll talk about that briefly. But once again, this is the box artwork. It does say that's for ages 14 and up. At that price point, I can understand that you probably don't want any children to mess with this. Although I'm sure as a kid, this would be freaking phenomenal to have. Without further ado, guys, I think I've chatted enough about the box, and as pretty as it is, we're more interested in what's inside. Alright guys, this is it. I went ahead and I assembled everything kind of off screen. I don't need to bore you guys, but first, quick impressions. As I anticipated, I love this freaking thing. It's fantastic in size. It's got just the right amount of weight. So assembly, as far as assembly is concerned, you do have to go ahead and add your cockpit window, door, I don't know what you call this. There are two options. We'll talk about that briefly. So that kind of snaps in right here. We went ahead and snapped in the gun piece on the bottom right here. FYI, I don't know if this occurred to you guys, but when I started messing with this, I was like, man, this has got the H.I.S.S vibes, and I have proof as well, because here is one of my vintage H.I.S.S. As you can see here, the same sort of motion. I'm just, oh man, I definitely got some H.I.S.S vibes with that particular part, but I just wanted to kind of point that out to you guys. I thought that was kind of cool. So anyway, I went ahead and we did the side mount gunners here. Just a fun fact, the two pieces are actually cut a little bit differently. So when you go ahead and install the, what do you want to call this? The drum magazine, I think is the correct terminology. You'll notice that they're cut a little differently, so make sure you line them up to the correct gun. I did notice that the one gun on my, let's call it, if there was a passenger side, my passenger side, is like pointing straight, while the one on the driver sides pointed like to the left a little bit. I don't know if these are supposed to be able to articulate left to right. They definitely go up and down just fine. And I'm not in the mood to test it out right now anyway, but I thought that was interesting. I went ahead and put in the side missiles, which are telescopic, or is it telescopic? Am I pronouncing that right? I have no idea, it doesn't matter. Real easily. Oh yeah, and then, by the way, this is not part of what the vintage HISS tank was. We'll talk about that briefly. But what G.I. Joe Classified tries to do is trying to modernize, you know, the figures and obviously now the vehicles as well. So we'll talk about that briefly. I went ahead and installed the, the tread guards here. So I think that's a good time to talk about the other options here. So the canopy, which is the word I couldn't think of earlier, the canopy, this is what I would consider the vintage canopy. Now's a good time to bring in my vintage HISS tank right here. So we now have the vintage HISS tank to take a look at, which comes with this style. Let me take it out of the packaging real quick. Which this comes with this style canopy right here, as well as the vintage HISS tank. You get this style tank guards, you know, versus what now they're giving you options to put these more modern looking tank guards as well as canopy. The canopy, I didn't mention already, is like a gold wing type of opening. I don't know how to open it now that I have it on there. Oh god. There we go. So that's really cool. It gives you all these options. So when you're either displaying the tank, taking pictures of the tanks, you can have the guy with the gold wing open, your HISS tank driver. It gives you all these options, as well as it gives you the ability, if you were a baller and ordered multiple of these, which I wish I did order at least 2, you can set them up a little differently, give them their own look to them. We'll talk about that as well. They did come with some stickers. Now everything you see here is how it comes. I don't think these are stickers, so, which I love. I did not want to put stickers on. That is not my forte in life, is putting stickers on. That is for sure. I went ahead and we put on the actual main cannons here, which have a real nice ratchet sound, which at this point you probably know that already. They actually kind of talked about this during the prototype stages when they were offering this as a HasLab, but real nice sounds. Everything feels really durable, by the way. I'm not saying I would let a child play with this, but everything seems to be of very high quality. I don't feel like anything's going to break on me. Once again, I forgot to mention we have real treads that move. Now the table I'm using has cloth on it, so it just gets stuck, but this is, and the sound it makes, I'm going to try to go ahead and show you guys. Oh, that sound. It's a really nice sound. And by the way, when they say they're rubber treads, this is like rubber tread. I mean, I just did a whole video on the NECA Team NT turtle van. Might not be a turtle fan, excuse me. And according to that manufacturer, NECA, they offered their van with rubber tires. And let me tell you something, they're not, this is what I was expecting, like nice, soft. I mean, this feels like it goes on an actual vehicle. Proper rubber tires. We go ahead and we do have like this little ladder that comes down. Once again, this just gives you ability to to set this tank a certain way, whether you're taking photos or you're posing it. It just gives you that ability to have a different scene, a different picture, how you want to display everything. I just really like that. I actually haven't had a chance to open up the rear. Put that up real quick. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and get the vintage tank over here a little bit, and we'll kind of have another part of the video where we kind of compare the vintage tank as well as some other vehicles, just for scaling purposes as well. So let's move the vintage, what I call vintage pieces aside. So I have what I would say is a more modern setup, where once again I have the red and black gold wing canopies. I have the more modern looking tread guards on here. I opted to put my missiles on the side, which just gives it like this menacing look. I mean, this is gonna be my most favorite vehicle of 2023. I do want to do a video on what is my most favorite vehicle of 2023 that dives into like a point system when we talk about value, build quality and all that. But I'll give you a sneak peek. I don't see this not winning, I'll be honest with you. I'm hands down loving this thing. So I do need to throw some batteries in here, which I didn't do yet. I do know this interior does light up. It has one seat. You could definitely easily fit one figure, maybe two. That would be max two. We will go ahead and briefly look at the figures, but I'll be saving the HasLab exclusive figures for another video. Put this back up. But man, I would like to know, and be serious, if anyone ordered this and they just weren't impressed with it. I really am impressed with this. I'm really excited about it. Like I said, everything feels, minus this ladder, is giving me a bit of a challenge here. There it goes. Everything feels so nice and secured. I hate to keep bringing up the turtle van, because I'll say that for another video, but there's aspects of that van where you get nervous when you're messing with it. The hinges on it were really a weak point of that particular vehicle. Now, NECA isn't quite the corporate mammoth that Hasbro is, but you know, Hasbro stepping into the world of with HasLab with their crowdfunding, which has a lot of scrutiny from some fans as far as they should be doing that or not. But that's more of a smaller business model, and I think it's cool. But they really went ahead and really brought their A game, and this is going to be big for them because a lot of people don't realize this. For the classified series, this is their first HasLab. It's not the first G.I. Joe HasLab, but the best of my knowledge, this is the first classified series vehicle, and now it's opening up a gateway for what's going to come out. We already have the Vamp, you know, we already have the Vamps you can pre-order as a Pulse exclusive, but the next HasLab is the Dragonfly, which now means in theory next year should be another Cobra HasLab. So comment below what you think the Cobra HasLab is going to be. I think it's going to be, if I remember correctly, the Warhog, which is like the G.I. Joe's version, the A-10 fighter jet or bomber jet, or whatever the technical term of that particular jet is. But I have a feeling they might do that. We'll see. Obviously, man, look at just another awesome thing about this thing is that the missiles, I forgot to talk about this, the missiles do come off like old school style. There we go, where they got the two holes right in there, just like any other like vintage missiles that would go any jet, not just, you know, a G.I. Joe setup. But I think a lot of people get nostalgic with that, which is kind of like part of why we are who we are as adult collectors that are ordering toys as adults. So let's see what else I need to talk about. So I briefly mentioned that this is my first HasLab, but not only is my first HasLab, but this very much is how I got into the classified series. I have been collecting more as an adult. I've collected on and off my whole life, whether we're talking about Power of the Force Star Wars, Episode 1 Star Wars. I got into starting lineups with my father. That was a great father-son thing I did as a teenager. So collecting isn't necessarily new to me, but it's been very much more of a hobby of mine more recently in the past few years. And what got me into the classified series now is this stupid thing. So a quick story, my friend was explaining to me what HasLabs were, and I've never been introduced to HasLabs. Matter of fact, I wasn't familiar with what crowdfunding is. Just as a quick FYI, crowdfunding in general, or what HasLab is they introduce something that they wouldn't be introducing to the retail storefront, meaning that they feel like it's not worth their time, or it would be a good investment for them to introduce something that they don't believe would sell from a retail standpoint, because they're hitting a very different market. Now with HasLab or crowdfunding, they can fine-tune who they're going after, which is pretty much us adults that have more of a disposable income, who's willing to spend the money for something as fascinating as this, for example. So I could see how they might have been very hesitant to go ahead and produce something like this. for retail, so they went ahead and offered you, and they said, hey, listen, if you want to back this, it's $2.99, just FYI, that's how much this was, $2.99. Once we hit a certain, I think it was 8 or 10,000 was the first criteria. Once we hit that criteria, you will unlock the H.I.S. tank as well as the H.I.S. driver, and then there was tiers, which included the gunner, which was a female gunner, as well as the Cobra Commander, I believe was the last tier to unlock, and that's a card back. It's only going to be, they already mentioned that all these figures are exclusive to this HasLab vehicle, and they are not reproducing the Cobra Commander with the Mickey Mouse error. So with the Mickey Mouse error card back, they're already going for over $100 on eBay. I really anticipate that sticking around there. I do think Cobra Commander will be reintroduced in a more normal packaging without that mistake, but they might not even bring it back with the card back. So I do think that figure is going to hold some value. So nonetheless, when this got released, I actually backed it day one, just because even though at the time it wasn't quite bit with the G.I.Joe bug, I've grown up loving the H.I.S. tank. I was always a giant fan of it. It's a very unique looking vehicle. If anyone tried to copy it, I mean, it's going to be obvious with its tread design that it's really hard not to know what this is. I mean, I think if you ask anyone that might have watched G.I., even if they're not into G.I.Joe now, if they grew up with it at all, watched any of it, they'll know what this is. They'll know this is a H.I.S. tank, and it's, to me, one of the most iconic vehicles, in my personal opinion, in G.I.Joe. And I know that's a bold statement, but I do believe in that. So once again, that's how I got bit with the G.I.Joe bug. I went ahead, I backed this day one. I actually wish I backed another one, but nonetheless, I'm grateful that I have it. It's going to be a great piece. I can't wait to go ahead and display it. Like I previously said, this video is really a focus on the tank, but I did quickly want to show you guys what comes with this HasLab as far as figures is concerned. So let me turn this around. Packaged real nicely here. We have our sticker sheet, as well as probably instructions that probably would have been pretty helpful, to be honest with you. Let's go ahead and, yeah, now, my one buddy's Cobra Commander was just slightly damaged in the corner, so I'm curious to see how my figures turn out condition-wise. Here we go. Here is the three box figures, one carded Cobra Commander. So let's real quick take them out. Alright guys, so this is actually technically everything that comes with the HasLab. Real quick, let's talk about the figures. First up, I want to talk about our exclusive, this is a Tactician. So this is our Cobra H.I.S. Tactician. He's the strategist. I'm actually probably going to put him on the gunner seat just because I love the fact that it's black and red. Now, with this guy, the signature here, by the way, which is Ron, I forget the gentleman's full name, but he is some sort of big deal with G.I.Joe, and he's responsible for creating the different let's call them colorways that we had. With HasLab, once you were a backer, you had the option of backing a couple of different color wave options, color waves being different color combos within the figure. There was a couple of different black and reds. I voted for one of the black and reds, but I'm real happy with this outcome. I know some people want it to be a little different. They had like a really cool purple guy, which I totally been cool with, but I actually like the idea that this goes with the H.I.S. tank, so, and I think that's why it ended up being the winner. Let's go ahead and put the Tactician to the side here. Next up is our gunner. The gunner is actually a female, which I think is really cool. Although she's technically the gunner, I actually, like I said, I'm going to put the Tactician on top of the gun seat only because he's black with a little bit of red, and I think that kind of goes with the combo here. Putting her to the side. Now we have the Cobra H.I.S. tank driver. Once again, this is number 99. We have the Tactician is number 100, and the female gunner is 101 in the series. Now that's the three boxed figures. Let's talk about mine ended up being, it appears to be very minty, Cobra Commander. This is minty. Mine is not damaged like my buddy's, ever so slightly. There's a slight, I mean, ever so slightly, there's just like this little imperfection here, but obviously the way this was all packaged, it came to me really well, and he looks phenomenal, by the way. So I already ordered a protective case for him. I am not opening him. I already knew that from day one. He's just too cool. Plus, I already know they're going to make a very similar variant in the normal traditional package, which I'll open up, and that will be fantastic. This, I just can't do it. Not knocking you if you did open it, but I just can't do it. And I'm not going to lie to you, the fact that he's going for over $100 on eBay is another factor where I just, like, once something hits a certain value, I just can't open it. So at least me personally, but he's really cool. So putting him over here a little bit, let's go ahead. I want to talk scaling as well as comparing the HISS tank to some other vehicles you already might have in your collection. Now, we briefly already kind of went over the vintage HISS tank. Scaling wise, this is for the classic O-ring 3 3/4 inch scale. By the way, Super 7 now has rights to G.I. Joe O-rings. I'm sure if you're watching this, you already know that. But if you have any opinion on that, I would love to hear it in the comment section below. I am excited to have, you know, what I like about this setup here is this is very close to how I have mine laid out, and I'm, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have the tactician on top here, even though he, in theory, should probably be inside, you know, planning stuff. But from a color standpoint, I think it's going to look great. I have my black major driver that's all black on top of the gun. Like I said, I like the fact that they blend in with the all black, and with the, like, the red gut interior with this HISS tank, I love the fact that the driver is red as well. I just think it all just matches so well, and it's so exciting. But this is, once again, kind of just giving you guys a scaling idea of what this looks like, you know, HISS tank to HISS tank. I mean, this is what, this is the 80s, so we're talking, I don't know, 40 years. I can't even think right now about the difference between these two different toys right now. So this is like nuts to see how far we've come. As you could see, this is obviously a new version of this, and man, have we've come such a long way, while also showing respect to the vintage HISS tank. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, here is the canopy that goes to this that clearly matches this HISS tank. I could see me knocking these missiles being an issue, so let me go ahead and put this over here, put this missile back on real quick. Up in our comparison here from a scaling standpoint is my TMNT NECA van. Let me go ahead and get these guys probably better in frame for you. So I think, you know, what we're going to be looking at is two big contenders for my best vehicle. I was super thrilled to get both of these in. TMNT kind of started me back into collecting with the movie line, and I got to the Toon line, and then I came across this, and now I'm back into G.I. Joe. So, but these vehicles right here, you know, will be part of my 2023 best vehicle of 2023. As I already mentioned, I think I'm already kind of digging this one, but I do want to do like a point system and really kind of judge in certain categories. But from a scaling standpoint, these are both 6-inch scaled vehicles, and they honestly scale well in my opinion. I think these things look phenomenal against one another. HISS tank looks like it's a little bit bigger. I know this is roughly 18 inches in length, and I forget exactly how tall it is. This is just appears to be ever so slightly shorter, but similar in scaling, so I think this is just so cool. Not that I plan to really display these things together, but I promise you I'll be taking pictures of them together just because they look so freaking cool. But once again, this is the 6-inch scale, I guess 6-inch scale. NECA is a little off too, but for sake of argument, 12 scale, 6-inch scale, 6-inch scale, even though these are 6.3 inches. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Roughly the same scale size vehicles, and I think they look phenomenal. And you know, I could tell you that, hold on, it's got some good weight, it's got some figures on it, but I like the plastic more on this one for sure. But once again, these are the two big vehicles. There's another few smaller vehicles I picked up in 2023, but these are the two big expensive ones that will pretty much be going neck and neck in my best vehicles of 2023. So once again, this is a TMNT NECA N-E-C-A Turtle Van. Be knocking a lot of things over, aren't I? As I mentioned earlier, I'm a 90s child, so this is a G.I. Joe Brawler. Much cheaper, made anyway. Much cheaper plastic, a lot lighter. But really cool vehicle. I actually did not have this as a child, but this is the vehicles that I grew up with, and I love the, as much as I love the OG, let's call them, vehicles from G.I. Joe, the 90s vehicles just had such cool colors to them. They really stand out to me. So this is my Brawler. Once again, this is actually kind of a bigger vehicle as far as the 90s is concerned, and you could see how this H.I.S. tank stacks up to. And the H.I.S. tank in theory is a smaller armored vehicle, but once again, it's something you might have in your collection. I'm just showing you guys for scaled purposes of what this thing kind of looks like against one another. And the way this tank rolls, I'm telling you, you're not going to get over it. It's a lot of fun. And this is my NECA quarter scale, so a much bigger scale foot soldier. He looks really cool. You can see the kind of black and red theme going on. This guy actually looked really cool next to the tank, even though they're two different worlds. Once again, for scaling purposes, I like to show you guys quarter scale. So this is a, quarter scale is actually taller than 12 inches, so I would have to measure him. I'm not sure on top of my head exactly how tall he is. At least he should be taller than 12 inches, because 12 inches would be 6 scale, he's quarter scale, so he should be a little bigger. He's definitely bigger than your traditional, like, let's say, Hot Toys 12-inch figure. So we'll go ahead and measure him in height, and I'll just throw it on the screen for you guys. But once again, just from scaling purposes, so you can guys see it against the H.I.S. tank. So I do have one more tank actually to go with this tank from a scaling standpoint, and it's bigger scale than this, I'll say that. We'll go in details on that. I think that's how I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video. I'd like to go ahead and show you guys every vehicle I get against my last vehicle, which is the biggest vehicle I have in my collection. So let's go ahead and take a look, guys. Although before we go, I can't believe I didn't bring up some classified figures, although I'm saving the other ones from this package to go over in a separate video. We got to bring up some other figures. So we have an infantry, we have some Crimson Viper, Crimson Guard. Just give you guys some scaling purposes of how well they scale. I went ahead, I have him kind of fixing one of the missiles, which was from one of the promo shots. I love that shot. So real quick, we can see how well they scale. I can go ahead and drop our Viper guy and face you. He fits nicely in there. Maybe he's just checking some stuff out. We got the Crimson Guard right here. We can go ahead and take our Cobra, our Trooper, Infantry, whatever the technical term is for this guy. You can have him riding on the back. Now, please note there are no pegs in the back, which is unlike the vintage tank that does, but it does leave some room for some opportunity here. We can go ahead and, you know, show you guys if he were... Can he stand? Can he stand on his own? Yes, he can. So again, let's kind of show you guys. Fold this up, go ahead and drop the back door. Now we can have one of the guys just getting ready to come out for some combat right here. Let's go ahead and a quick post. There we go. So now we have him coming out the rear of the H.I.S. tank, once again with that beautiful detailed interior. So that's kind of to give you guys an idea on some scaling here. And the Crimson Guards, by the way, or the Crimson anything, any of the Crimson variants look phenomenal with this tank, as one were to be expected. But I'm gonna go ahead, and I can't wait to figure out how I want to display this. There'll probably be another video or in some other video, because I have no idea how I want to display this yet. I just want to kind of get this video out to you guys. There's already so many videos of the H.I.S. tank out there. But once again, let's go ahead and wrap this video up, shall we? Guys, this is going to go ahead and wrap up the video. We're going to end it with a comparison to my biggest vehicle in my collection. This is my 6 scale Ultimate Soldier M2 tank. So we have the H.I.S. tank and an actual tank. Once again, we're talking roughly a 12 scale and a 6 scale tank, so this really is always fun for me, just for fun, guys. I've already went ahead and I think compared this to some other vehicles you might have in your collection, or at least the classified figures, which the odds are if you're watching this video at least have a few of those figures. Absolutely love this thing. I think Hasbro freaking knocked it out of the park, and I think this is going to set a tone for very successful HasLabs moving forward, because one of the complaints people had with the Dragonfly was that we had to put our money down if we wanted to back that without even getting our hands on this. But this thing is freaking phenomenal. Unfortunately, I don't believe, to the best of my knowledge, any re-release. They're not supposed to do that with HasLabs. People have been speculating maybe they'll make like a blue version, just like they did with some of the more older mold of the vintage H.I.S.S tank. So maybe that's a possibility, but comment below. Did you scoop this up? Do you like it? Do you love it? What do you think below? And you already know, if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because this is a newer channel, so every subscription counts. I want to give a shout out to my last guy who subscribed, and I don't remember now. I'll put the name down below, because I really do appreciate everyone who does that. But you guys have a phenomenal Sunday if this gets released on a Sunday. I'll see you guys next video. I'm out. Peace.